What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great Mother's Day. I hope everybody took care of their mothers because they sure took care of you. Um, I don't even know how to go about this, but the proof's in the pudding here. You know what's funny is if you think about yourself growing up, I don't know how old you are, but I know there were things that I did that were just plain stupid. That I look back now and said, I can't believe I did stupid shit like that. And in college, they didn't call me Crazy Mark because I had crazy eyes, okay? I did stupid shit. We all do stupid shit. And so those who are without sin should be the first ones to cast stones. But I bet you every one of you got some skeletons in your closet. But we know, or actually, we don't have to say we know, it's already happening. It's already happening because, things happen in life. And as I look at George Pickens, I understand he's been a hothead. He's been a hothead. You know, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. The thing I will say about George Pickens when I see him getting upset, it seems like, and maybe I'm wrong, that's a guy that gets emotional because he actually cares about winning. He's passionate about it. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't think he likes bullshit and losing. I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but this is what I'm saying. I think I see is the thing with the Steelers was it was a hamster wheel that was going nowhere. He's seeing this where he can get open, he can get downfield, he can make plays, but he ain't got a quarterback that can go there. I'm not saying that that's an excuse, but it's a reason why that goes. Now, what happens is we grow up and we change and we evolve. The person I am now wouldn't do the stupid shit back then if I knew what I knew now. And there's a lot of players out there that are immature, that get their first taste of money in the NFL, the fame, the women, and everything else, and they just kind of do stupid shit. But then they grow. I can look at CeeDee Lamb and see how CeeDee Lamb seemed like he checked out in that Green Bay Packer playoff game. You could see everybody on the team knew that, from Dak Prescott to Mike McCarthy, because they're trying to calm him down and get his head back in the game. But that off season, he owned up to it and said, listen, I got to grow up. I got to grow up. And going through the season that he did, playing injured without his quarterback, a season that had no hope, you never saw him check out. He grew. I can look at Micah Parsons and say, Micah Parsons, from this time last year to where he is now, has grown tremendously. You may not like his podcast, but trust me, everybody's going to be doing something. This Pandora's box has opened up. I can guarantee you in 5 years from now, everybody, like the Cowboys of old, where everybody had a radio show or a television show, everybody's going to have a podcast or a YouTube channel and so on. It's just the nature of the beast. Everybody, including me, can be out here as a broadcaster, and it's fun. And in some cases, profitable. But Micah Parsons last year was like, nah, bro. Nah. I don't do off-season, non-mandatory workouts. I do me. I know what's best for me. I'm going to work on my body. Me, my. New coach? Well, he's going to have to bend to me. He's going to have to bend. Yeah. That's what we got last year. And the beginning of this year, and a guy who had everything come to an easy, gets injured, gets the blowback from his podcast, and recognizes all this shit can be taken away. And Micah Parsons, when he came back, podcast kind of changed. It wasn't inviting the big play slays and yucking it up when the Cowboys get mollywopped. It evolved and it changed. Micah Parsons, without his new contract, while everybody in this class in front of him has gotten theirs last year, is there becoming a leader, working out without the contract. You can see he grew up. George Pickens is only 24 years old. And there's nothing that he has said or done thus far as a Dallas Cowboy that makes you question whether or not he is growing up. I'm sitting here taking shots from Eagle fans, Commanders fans, listening to ESPN and all that. And of course, he's taking shots from the fans that used to cheer him on in Pittsburgh because their butt hurt. All the talking heads and things, people are making shit up, but here it is, that team's laughed at him about a trade for him. Okay. That people are just going out of their way to trash the guy. And in some cases, I think they might be exaggerating or just flat out making shit up. And you can guarantee you that this whole thing where he's flying a plane without the internet and lands and sees all these stories and all the AI and stuff that's being made up about him, and he says, man, stop the lies, okay? I got nothing but love for the Steelers Nation. I can guarantee you tomorrow you will see on the shows trouble with the Cowboys already. George Pickens already making waves. You can guarantee there will be stories tomorrow about George Pickens and how bad a move it was for the Dallas Cowboys to do this. Guaranteed. And the shit's not right, man. It's not right. I am trying to tell this story because this is very, very sad for me. See, I'm fortunate enough to have seen the Hail Mary when it happened. I was fortunate enough to see Tony Dorsett run for an NFL record that will never be beaten. 99 yards. 99 yards. With 10 men on the field. I remember seeing the Doomsday Defense and Bob Lilly playing. I remember those losses to the Steelers. I have seen it all. And seeing my heroes, I love to go to the autograph signing shows, more so for the legends than the new players. The new players, now that they got the card companies and all that, the prices are outrageous, okay? I still don't understand how Trevor Lawrence, who's done absolutely nothing, autograph is worth $275. Sorry, do something first. But I always like to see the legends, the Bob Lillys, the Rayfield Wrights, the Charlie Waters, Charles Haley's, and Jay Novacek's. I will always go to get those guys' autographs, even though I've seen them and met them many times, because I want to support the people that were here that made the NFL great, that people forgot, where a lot of them are in really, really bad shape. And this evening, while we were doing our members chat, Leo, which I give a lot of grief to, Leo actually is in the dispensary business and has done a lot for veterans, for post-traumatic stress disorder, and has also worked with a lot of the NFL players and former players. The Player Association has even been on Congress, has been in Forbes magazine and things, because he's helping players and works with players to get them help. You know, we see players out there, you know, and stuff, and we call them, "You're weak, man. You're a bum." You know, he won't play with injuries and stuff, doing things that you couldn't even fathom the amount of pain that they go through. And he said, keep Tony Dorsett in your prayers. And anybody who knows the story about Tony Dorsett, I believe it was 2012 or 2013 when he started having problems from what probably I think it's safe to say that he's got CTE, anger issues and memory problems and dementia and things like that. And so Leo, and I'm not going to tell all the information on it, but said, keep Tony Dorsett in your prayers because things are getting bad. And when you think of some of the hits that they used to take back in the day, and the helmets and the equipment aren't anything close to what they have now. You don't have the illegal contact penalties and things like that. But I remember, I remember Tony Dorsett in 1984 when I was a senior got literally his helmet knocked sideways and knocked unconscious by an Eagle player. In one of the most vicious hits since Chuck Bednarik hitting, used to be the commentator on Frank Gifford, where Frank Gifford was like this, and then he was like this, and he was knocked completely out. But those hits add up and take years off of these players' life, years and quality of life off players' lives. I remember being in Minnesota for the Super Bowl and being at the Graduate Hotel and doing Jobu Sports in the lobby. Every morning I'd go downstairs and do my video and stuff in there. And there was a gentleman. He was there every morning drinking coffee and stuff, and came over, started talking to me, and said, I'm not going to say his name, but he said, I'm a former Eagle player, and I really like what you're doing. And I was like, cool, man, thanks. And I said, do you mind? I said, I have a lot of Eagle fans that watch the channel, and it would be great for me to interview a former, Eagle player to go through there. And so I started doing this interview, and what I used to always do when I talked to former players is I used to always ask them, I would say, every player has that perfect block or that perfect hit that they will always remember. And I said, what was yours? Being an idiot and not knowing that he was the player that ended up hitting Tony Dorsett, knocking his helmet sideways. And probably some of the problems that he faced came from that hit. For this player, he was a former Bear, I think, and he had come there. He was a special team player. But that hit was celebrated and ended up making him a starter on the team. It literally made his career. Football is a brutal sport, guys. Let's be clear here. And these players, we don't treat them like they're human. We think, oh man, you're a football player. Everything's hunky-dory, man. You got all the money and the cars and the women and stuff. But not understanding what happens when the lights go down. And that's why I always go support the former players. Many of them are dead broke. And I've met Tony Dorsett quite a few times, but probably will never see him again. In the same way about Charlie Waters. I saw Charlie Waters about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, and he was the presenter for Cliff Harris, but was unable physically to be there for him. These are my heroes, man. These were gods to me growing up. But what you learn is they're people. They hurt and they bleed. And what you're going to see with George Pickens, anytime he's got a drop pass, anytime somebody does a cheap shot, and believe me, you're going to get people that are going to try and get up underneath the skin to try and set him off. They'll do dirty shots and bullshit to him, trying to make it look bad. And the media is going to be relentless to try and prove that the Dallas Cowboys made a mistake. Not realizing that this young man at 24, I say young man, lived his life 2.5 times, is human, as are all of us. And as you people are trolls and SOBs and think it's funny to go after people and troll people and try and make them feel bad, sad. Trying to make this a better place, man. Thank you all for listening to me on my soapbox. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And I hope that some of the words that I say out here at night sink in with at least one person. If it did, then I did my job. Remember to tell the people you love how much you love them, because people, life is short, man. And before you know it, your lights are out. Love you.